Good morning, YouTube. It's back here. It's early on the Sunday morning. Everybody else in my family is still asleep, except one of my kids is actually at work. I just thought I might share with you my strawberry quilt ideas, or where I'm up to with that. Our family, sorry, I'm tired. Our family is going to Japan in about 10 days. So I'm starting to get excited, and I need to pack some projects because all of mine are mostly at completion stage, or I'd have to take quite a lot of like a big quilt top or that kind of a thing. And I don't want to fill up my bags with my projects because I want to buy all the things, hopefully. I've never been to Japan, but it looks like other people find amazing things. So this morning, I'm going to share with you a couple of things that you probably haven't seen from me for a while because they're things that I'm going to pack. This is actually not something I'm going to pack. This is my fabric pull for what I'm calling a strawberry quilt. And I'm really inspired by Hopewood Home, which is an account on Instagram. I'm going to put a link to it. She does beautiful quilts, and they're often focused around a tea towel or a print that you might have found on a tea towel. So one of my beautiful customers at the store, I purchased this from her. She was destashing. She'd moved into a smaller home, and I think this is going to be my backing for my quilt. This is I say Farmer's Wife. Is that correct? Does it have a selvage on it? Yes. Something wife. It is Outback Wife by Gertrude Maid. And I've just seen this here. This is just so fitting. This is called Elaine, and that was my mum's name. I didn't realise that. Wow. Now I feel a teary. God. So this is going to be the backing for my quilt. It's just a beautiful, beautiful big scale print. Interesting colours for me, except for the green. Anyway, here's my Elaine backing for my strawberry quilt. And then I also have I've collected some fabrics from the shop. And, I've collected these over a couple of years, I think, really. I've been thinking about this quilt. This was a beautiful fabric we had in store that I love the daisies on. A Ewer green check. I think that might be kitchen window wovens. Bit of, I think it's called mimosa, but I always think of it as wattle. It looks like wattle to me. Lovely red linen check. I don't know where this one came from. And it might be Kath Kidston. Look at that strawberry. So that. And then this beautiful print, which is a Riley Blake design. And I actually got this one. I think this is an older one. It's before the time that I was buying for the shop. I've had this print in a number of colorways and I've always loved it. This one I picked up from Terrace Quilting, which is a quilting shop up in Raymond Terrace, which is about, I think, 40 minutes or so from Newcastle. It's a beautiful shop up there, so worth checking out if you're around. And Leanne, the owner, is really lovely. Anyway, so they're the new fabrics that I have, and then I'm going to show the next things. Then I also have collected some vintage kind of strawberry fabrics. This is a seersucker. I love the colours in this. That strawberry, also a vintage fabric. Lovely strawberries there. I mean, it is a strawberry quilt, so you're going to get a lot of strawberry fabric, and I do love strawberries. Now, this one, I'm not sure if I can include anything I want, but it is a berry, an old-fashioned, like an old vintage fabric berry, but I think it looks a bit more like a raspberry. like a green raspberry. So it's definitely the right colours for the quilt that I'm doing, and it may make it in there. This one I purchased just really recently from, I think the name is Gladian Flow. I will link the Instagram link, and I came across it by, I want to say, Create and Craft with Christine. It's definitely Christine. I'm going to link the proper account. She had, an aunt online. She had purchased, or maybe been gifted something by the owner of that account, and I saw it and reached out and said, have you got any more? I would love to purchase some. I'm making a strawberry quilt. Anyway, I got this beautiful piece. How gorgeous is that? Vintage fabric. So, and it's double-sided. So thrilled to put that in there. And then this one was a lovely gift from Heather, who's one of my Tuesday stitchers. She had found this on her travels. I'm not sure that I'm going to be able to put this one in just because it's the only tealy kind of colour that I have at the moment. Now, it may look great in there, but I'm going to have to wait until I'm further along. It's definitely sitting with my quilt pull, and it's a beautiful vintage fabric. Then, where's my tea towel? Oh, so whilst this is a strawberry quilt, this was actually the tea towel that was my inspiration for, and you know, it's marked up, but I wouldn't be using that writing bit. I'd be using this bit up here for the colour scheme for my quilt. And I'm going with Australian natives and strawberries, which seems like a little bit of a weird combo. And some birds as well, because why not be even weirder? So I've got these two lovely vintage tea towels. These ones we had in store. I can't remember where I got them from, but we had a few and I put them for sale in the shop. Was it upside down always? Anyway, we're going to have this bird in there, the kookaburras and the wattle and the sacrovilia, Australian native. And then I've also got this piece of vintage fabric, which is just the perfect colours for this quilt. This little hand towel that, just love this work, will be lovely in it. A little bit of cross stitch off what will have been a napkin. Now, part of that went into my second Edie quilt, and I've still got this, and I just love the cross stitch. And the quilt design, or the quilt kind of inspiration I have, just has kind of bigger patches. So probably I just trim off that, and this would be a whole block in there. But, you know, who knows how I'm going to put it together at this stage. I've just got all the ideas. And then this is vintage strawberry applique and cross stitch and embroidery that I have been collecting, or been lucky enough to be gifted to put into this quilt, because I've talked about it a couple of times. So this one came from New Zealand, from the lovely Judy, who attended Fleur Woods's workshop at my shop, and she gave me this. And I've seen little serviettes, and I've actually got some serviettes on my way, like with one strawberry, but I had never seen a big piece like that. So I'm thrilled to have that, and I'm going to sneeze, so excuse me. Excuse me. And this beautiful strawberry, like heavily worked kind of strawberry embroidery. Now this one, again, I don't know whether I'm going to be able to put it in, but I will hope to, because it's not a colour that I have any other things of, but it might work in there. It's definitely staying with the pull at the moment. So this lovely little, quite naive strawberry embroidery on a blue kind of, I'd say that's a cotton linen, large strawberry, or large strawberries. Look how cool they are. Now, I'm not sure how they're going to get on because this is more kind of a big patch. So when I trim it down, I'm not going to be able to get a regular shape from that. So we'll just see how that one goes, but it's too cute. This is my pride and joy. This strawberry tablecloth with the beautiful strawberry flowers. All four corners are worked. It's actually got very lovely edging on it as well. But this will definitely be in there. I don't know how, but I found 3 strawberry tablecloths because I look for them regularly and I haven't seen anything for ages. So check this one. And this has got strawberry, it's a big tablecloth and it's got strawberries all the way around in kind of a big circle. So just gorgeous. Look at that. Okay. These 2 little ones, which I bought a lot off eBay just to get these 2. And this was when I was thinking I might go more kind of a railway cottage, kind of more what I'm doing with my other vintage quilt kind of style, just all the vintage kind of textiles put together. But I actually think I want to go back towards that Hopewood home style kind of, or inspiration. So again, not sure how to put these in, or this, but look at that. So cute. And now, how come I've got 2 of these? Maybe this was the one Judy gave me and I picked up the other one somewhere else. I'm not even sure. I've been collecting a while and I've been lucky enough to be gifted a few. But this is a hand towel. And I think this actually might be Judy's one. Sorry, Judy. Very cute. Little doily. This one's machine stitched. Oh no. It's not machine stitched. It's just machine edged. Isn't that lovely? All these strawberry embroideries. Just gorgeous. This one was gifted to me by Jean at the shop. Thank you, Jean. I love it. Going in. Now, I think we had another one that was similar to that. I'm not sure. I think this one came from the sewing box. No, it didn't. I'm not sure where it came from. These ones came from the sewing box. They're really lovely. Look at them. Cute. Half. I'm not sure where I got half one from, but half strawberry embroidery or applique, sorry. This one's very cute. Excuse my computer getting some messages there. Look at that, just beautiful. I actually really love the drawn thread work as well. I'm always attracted to that. And then this big kind of cross stitch strawberry as well. So I've got lots of vintage pieces to work with there. And then on top of the strawberries, I'm planning on putting Australian natives in there, as we talked about. So there's some wattle and some flannel flowers. And this is a tablecloth. It's got lots of work through the center as well as the edging. I'm a bit obsessed with the flannel flower. So although we got some guy in to help us with our hedging, which was just out of control. And he kind of, like, that was great because it was out of control and we needed the help. But I think he was a bit brutal with some of the plants, and I'm not sure that I've got any flannel flowers left, which is a little distressing. But anyway, we'll see as summer kind of comes into play. Flannel flowers and wattle, very finely worked here. Look at that, just divine. Look at that. Now this is a cross stitch piece and it would need something behind it because it's too open a weave, but I thought that was lovely. I don't think this is going to make it in there, although, you know, it's lovely. I do really like these bits. I'm not so, like, I do like the rosellas, but I'm not so keen on the rosellas for the quilt. But I do love these Australian kind of gum flowers. I think that might be a native as well. Maybe not. It's definitely the right colours for what I'm working with. This is a like flannel flower and wattle, and that's a Waratah. This is a design I see a little bit of. I'm not sure that I've picked it up before because they tend to sell really quickly, but beautifully worked native Australian flowers, and certainly I think it's a design that was more common, although, you know, the actual doily's finished now, 80, 100 years later, not so common. Look at that flannel flower, isn't she beautiful? So she'll definitely have to make it in here. And then this was one of the ones that I was gifted from Period Bits and Frippery, which I kind of shared last video. Aren't they beautiful? Beautiful flannel flowers to go in. And then this one is not an Australian native or flannels or strawberries, but it is the colours that I wanted. I wanted to introduce a bit of that yellow because it's in that original tea towels. That was the inspiration, and it will be in the quilt through the wattle and that kind of thing. So these are all the bits that I have collected for my quilt. Hold on for about 3 years probably, and maybe we'll have a quilt top. I'm going to share with you also the things that I'm packing to take to Japan that I need, smaller scale kind of things that don't take up too much room, but I definitely am planning on having some sewing time whilst I'm away. Sorry, interrupt this regular programming to show you my Gosling quilt, which I have only one half block to finish hand quilting, and then I am going to, what am I going to do? Bind it. I'm hoping to have it bound tomorrow so that I can take it into the shop. Now, somebody asked me how I use vintage embroideries, and it's all through this quilt, in a quilt or vintage bits and pieces. And I just thought I'd show you this little area over here. This is my block that I am still quilting, or I've quilted this part of it and I have to, this is the last little bit. But in here, you can see that's a tablecloth that I cut up. This here, which, sorry, I was off camera. This here, which might make some people's eyes wig out a little bit. This is an edge of a beautiful hanky, and then I didn't have, in that hanky, there wasn't enough to complete that hexagon. So I just used a beautiful vintage fabric, and I wanted it to be distinctly different, but of the same ilk. And to me, that is really gorgeous. If you are somebody that likes a lot of order, that may not be your cup of tea, but then don't use a hanky on that size. I'll show you another hanky so that, you know, you can use it somewhere else. Here is, I would say, this is potentially one of my most favorite vintage embroideries I've ever found, and it's in my quilt there. So you basically cut them up and put them in just like normal fabric. And then I'll just find another hanky for, yeah. That is also a vintage hanky. So, you know, if you can't abide that kind of variation, and you can see another bit of it here. This is a beautiful old feed sack fabric that I had a little bit that had been gifted to me by beautiful Cheryl. And I used it in a couple of things and I didn't have quite enough. So I just put a lovely pink linen in there. I love to include things that people have gifted me or that I found, or, you know, that have some special sort of memory attached to them. So I don't mind that at all. In fact, I kind of love it, and it reminds me of what actual vintage quilts are like, where they've used what they had on hand. So very much vintage inspired mine, with lots of beautiful embroideries that have been used in here. Lots of, you know, new fabric as well. This is a Liberty. This is one from the shop, like a spot we've got in the shop. And, you know, a shot cotton and a Betsy as my star points that join up. But just all the fabrics, really. So that was a little aside in the middle of there. Sorry about that. Okay. So I'm planning on taking my stars from my Vintage Stars quilt from Everyday Quilts. Beautiful pattern. I've hand pieced mine. Some people have machine pieced. These are all fabrics that I had in the shop, or a couple of vintage fabrics that I have included. I tend to put a vintage fabric in most things. Or from my stash. This is a Heather Ross from my stash. So I've got all my stars complete, and over half of them with their edging pieces on. And these are made, the edges I've done are mostly with AGF cottons, or pure cottons, I think they're called. And I have those in the shop. So I need to cut some more edges and take just these and the edges to hand piece while I'm in Japan. And I do have a couple cut, but I need to do more, obviously. And just looking at it here, I need to do more of the blues, although I think I have put them in color order, so maybe they were just down at the bottom of the pile. But just to make sure that my colors are kind of mixed across my quilt. So that's, sorry, that's upside down for you. That is quilt number, or not quilt, part number 1 of the crafting that I am going to take to Japan, for planes, for on trains, just for stitching wherever I am, really. Oh, and that's that beautiful print. So that's the colorway that I had, that Riley Blake one in our shop. And I showed a different colorway from Terrace Quilting in my Strawberry Quilt. It's a beautiful print. And it comes in brown as well. It was actually, the brown was in my Vintage Geese quilt. Now, I am also slowly making grandmother's flower garden, or flower garden path, like kind of grandmother's path quilt. It's, you know, the hexy flowers with the path around it. Now, I'm doing mine, that's also an AGF pure cotton in Jade Cream. And the fabric is called Jade, Jade Cream. And I'm doing mine with some solids. This yellow, kind of mustardy yellow in the center, some solids, then tiny florals in a mixture of things from my stash, from the shop, but tiny florals. So this one here is a Ruby Star Society, then got 2 Liberties. This was a fabric, it's called Frou Frou, I think it was out of France, but it might have been out of Japan. And it was just beautiful. It was one of my favorite fabrics. I wish they'd bring that back. And some Petit Pan. And I actually have lots more. That's a vintage fabric there. That was one that we had in the shop. Beautiful Liberties. Also from the shop. I think we've got this back now also, but in a linen. Look, just beautiful, beautiful things. So I've made lots of the flowers because they're super fun to make. And now I've got to join them up. But I need more flowers because that's not going to be a quilt size yet. So I will baste up some more flowers, hopefully, because I've got some bits, but I need more. And that's in a little jewelry box from Howard's Storage World, inspired by Hey Hexy Lady, who's one of the quilters that comes into my shop all the time. I started her quilting, but now she's a very good quilter. And so I will take a couple of flowers to work on as well, because EPP is a lovely portable project. So this one will be coming to Japan as well. And then the final quilt that I am in the middle of, I'm trying not to start any new projects. I might take a small, a needle book, because I'm, as you're all aware, obsessed with making them. And I might take that to put together, like one to put together over there. And I will have started one to show construction methods in the course I'm teaching next Friday. So I'll probably take that one. But look, this is the last quilt. I've been making this quilt for, I don't know, at least 5 years, maybe almost towards 10. It is Temp to Block by Jen Kingwell. And that's Jen's there. And her picture there, I saw it at Amity. And I think she only had 4 blocks. And she's commented before to me that when I've shared it online that I've made more blocks than she has. But that colour, kind of Jen's kind of murkiness, really inspired my colour choices for this quilt. So I've made lots of blocks. They're all a bit wonky. They'll go together fine. This was actually the first quilt that I decided I would hand piece, and I don't know why I picked this block. It's quite a hard one, but I kind of love how fearless I was. So it is a bit wonky, and I don't mind that at all. So this fabric here is the black and white square is a repeating fabric, as is the Capel through Liberty Capel through each of the blocks. And then I've got this kind of murky kind of colorway going, murkier than I would usually do, more in line with Jen's kind of colorways that I think she likes. It's got some mushrooms in there. It's like, you know, it's got some great fabric, and I really they take ages, but I need to complete this quilt. So I've made quite a few. I think I'm halfway. And I want to make more. I'm trying to find my favorite block, which I do love that. Mushroom one. Another mushroom one. I don't know where it is. But so I have lots of bits and pieces, and that, you know, that Tempter pattern just came with acrylic templates. So I am going to put some of those together in Japan. Now, luckily for me, I've got lots of bits that I've pre-cut at some point. So I will put those together. Plus I also have, this has been going so long, it's not even in zipper pouches, which normally my things are in. I've got lots of spare ones, so I might kind of zipper pouch them up. But I've chosen some things to go together as well. So that must be all the pieces for one block. I'm going to take some of those to hand piece as well. And that will have me complete in Japan for what I'm going to be making. Sorry, that probably looks gross under your camera, all the old plastic bags. So Utah quilt, vintage stars, grandmother's flower garden, and a needle book. I like to have as you've just seen here, I like to have a variety of quilts on the go, and depending on, you know, what I want to work on at that point. So the other quilts that I'm working on at the moment, besides hand quilting, are my Goslin quilt, which I just showed, and also, so that will finish hopefully this weekend, my 4th tiny trip quilt, and that, actually I'm going to show you where that one's up to. Okay, so this is my 4th tiny trip quilt. It was inspired by a vintage quilt, and I started it in Forth in Tasmania when I was staying with my lovely friend Vicky. And because I was inspired by original quilt, that one had a border on it, and I really should have run a stay stitch down the edge there, but I haven't. Anyway, I'm in the process of appliquing a border like this to a border fabric, which is the same fabric I've used as my joiner fabric through my quilt. So that one's not portable at the moment. It's like, you know, I'd have to take the whole quilt top, and that's too much. And then the other one that I'm working on actively at the moment is my beautiful new quilt, which I haven't named. I don't know why I'm having trouble naming it. And it's got a lot of applique work too. So I've just got to finish off the applique, but also not in a transportable state, which is a little bit annoying because I'd love to finish that one. So I've got two quilt tops nearing completion, one quilt nearing completion, a couple that need to be hand quilted, and then the 3 quilts that I showed you that I'm taking to Japan that are more at the piecing stage, which are portable. And I think that might be all my quilts. Can you believe that? Like I'm trying to tick some of them off, like in terms of actually complete them. And when I do that, then I get to start my strawberry quilt, and also the one that was on the wall in my shop, which I don't have here, so I can't show you, which is all the vintage textiles, and I'm just going to canvas stitch that together. So I am really holding myself responsible to getting a few things finished. So this one, definitely, because I want to release the pattern for it because I love it. It's got a number of elements in there, like, you know, some beautiful applique flowers in pieced blocks, some wreath blocks that was under the camera before, and then, sorry, it's very hard to show at this scale, but I can't be bothered moving my camera, sorry. And then some beautiful bigger pieced blocks as well. That's half of one there. So I need to get that one finished, Gosling quilt finished, and my 4th tiny trip, and then I can start the new 2 quilts, because it's always about, I've always got a list of quilts ready to go. Okay, thanks for being here. I really appreciate you watching and letting me share what I'm up to, and hearing how what I'm sharing inspires you or doesn't inspire you, even, like I said, it makes you say, no way am I doing anything like that. So happy stitching, everybody. I might not see you before Japan. I might see you before Japan. I'd definitely take some video in Japan if I find some cool stuff. Okay, bye.